This is as good a place as any to have a little stop on today's run and have a quick chat. Welcome to the hills and welcome to 2025 for those of you that are not in 2025. First video for a while. I've enjoyed a bit of a rest, to be honest. I could feel myself maybe on the slight verge of burnout, and I just couldn't take the risk carrying on intensely training and creating more videos. So I've had a bit of a rest from both running and social media, which has been really nice, because when you do take a back seat with the editing, it's also nice just to knock it down a notch or two with the running, so you really can feel like you are having a good rest, because you might not, this might not make sense if you don't make videos, but it's quite mentally exhausting. You know, like for example with Valencia and things like that, I was making 1 or 2 videos a week, and it's a lot. So I'm really glad that I've had a rest. Now, here we are in mid-January, and I feel like I'm back to square one. All that work I put into my sub 20, my Valencia marathon, I feel like I'm starting again. I feel like I've lost all that fitness, which is okay, because that's fine. That is totally fine to feel like, you know, things have slowed right down. That's totally fine. No worries. I'm not worried. Let's just say you're a spring marathoner and an autumn marathoner religiously. You like to do a big race sort of every 6 months. You find yourself in that in-betweeny stage sometimes, just everything just feels hard. You feel like you've lost all your fitness, and that's just totally fine. That's okay, because you will find it again, and I'm going to find it again. And not only that, I believe that I'm going to be a lot quicker this year and get some better results. So I'm chasing the obvious things: sub 40 10k, sub 90 half marathon, and at the end of the year, my A race, my A Valencia, no, I've just ruined it, haven't I? My A race in the marathon is Valencia, which I'm really excited to go back to in December. It's now February the 3rd, so 3 weeks later than the footage you've just seen. And this is how I knew, or know, that I was ready for a little bit of time off, because I went to do a year review and I just physically couldn't. It's like, I don't know, I just literally couldn't bring myself to like film and edit something. So I knew I needed a bit of time away from video and YouTube and all that stuff. But I'm ready to come back now, and I'm happy to share with you my 2024. Now, I know it's a little bit late because everyone did this 6 weeks ago, but there's a few things that I would love to go through. So I'm going to start with the different race distances from 2024 and how they went. So starting with the 5K, I came into 2024 with a PB of 20:37, a bit of a long-standing PB for me, and I just couldn't break it. And I had probably about 10 attempts at it in 2024, and I got close at Bushy to the sub 20, because that was the super objective. But I finally got the PB, but I didn't get the sub 20. I got a 20:04 at Bushy, which was a brilliant day out, by the way. If ever you are stuck for an idea for some parkrun tourism, have a look at Bushy Park. It's the original parkrun destination, the OG parkrun, the oldest parkrun in the world. And it's a really good one as well. So I'm hopefully going to go back there at some point and see if I can finally break 20 on that course. I did 20:04 on that day. It was a big PB for me, but I didn't quite break 20. But then only a few months later, during the Valencia block, just after the Valencia marathon training block, I went to Ara Valley and I finally broke 20, something I've been chasing for the best part of 2 years. And Brett and a few others helped me get around the course. for a 19:38. So a massive PB smash for me on that day. But finally managed to break 20 minutes. So really pleased with that. I tried to break 20 7 times, and 6 times before that, I just couldn't get anywhere near it, including Bushy was one of those attempts. And the wildest swing that I had, finishing the same time twice, was 21 minutes 14 seconds, one at Worcester Woods and one at Severn Bridge Parkrun. Now moving on to 10k. Now I only did 4 10k races in 2024. 2 of them were PBs and 2 of them not. So let's start with the not PBs. One I did in the summer, which was the one I thought I was going to PB on, which was the 2 castles run, which is Warwick Castle to Kenilworth Castle. A couple of weeks before that, I'd had COVID and I was really sick, and I was just nursing myself back to health, and I was still not very well, but I decided to race anyway, and I raced that day, and I think I did about 47 minutes or 46 minutes or something, maybe not even that, maybe closer to 50, I can't quite remember. But that was painful that day. Probably shouldn't have raced, but I did. But that's one race that I'd love to do again in the future. Whether I'll do it in 2025, I don't know. But the timing's got to be right, and I'm not sure if it will be for something that I'll get onto later. But another one I had a really good day out at was the Nottingham 10k, which is in March. And I raced that and I got 44:39, and I was only 19 seconds away from a PB. And bear in mind, Nottingham has got some serious elevation, some serious hills within that 10k. It's a lot of fun, the course is, but it's quite difficult. Yes, there are some hills, but that means also there's some seriously steep downhills as well. So if you've got some decent fitness behind you, maybe you're in a training block for a marathon, go and check out the Nottingham 10k, because it's a seriously good fitness test, and you never know, you might surprise yourself with the PB. But a few weeks before that, I raced the Bourton 10k, which was the last week of February, and on that day in 2024, I did get a PB of 44:20 and was massively pleased with that. Bourton's a good race. I'd love to have another crack at it this year. I'm on the waiting list, so who knows? Maybe I will get the chance to run a lot quicker than I did last year, because my current PB was set during the Valencia block in October 2024 at the Kingfisher 10k in Redditch. Once again, Brett paced me around for a really good 10k race, and I got round in 40 minutes and 56 seconds. So still haven't got anywhere near that 40-minute barrier. I think that's going to be my next big task, to try and break the 40 for the 10k. But I was massively pleased with the 40:55, because I really wanted sub 42, and we ended up getting sub 41. Now moving on to the half marathons. Now I did a fair few half marathons last year. I did 7, and I got everywhere between 1:33 to 1:51. I was starting with that 1:51. Again, I was on the back end of COVID. I'd done an ultra the week before. In fact, I'd done my 102-mile Cotswold Way over 3 days. So I had a lot of fatigue on my legs and did a 1:50, 1:59. I also, along the year, did the Warwick half marathon in February. I had an absolute shocker there. I did 1:44:34, and bear in mind, I went out for a 1:39. I had some pretty bad gut problems that I had to deal with, and I lost 5 minutes on the course just because I was really struggling. But I did have some other good races during the year. I did the Alton Towers half marathon during the Valencia block as a bit of a training run. I got 1:42 there. At Birmingham, I just finished the Newport Marathon the week before. I did a 1:42 there, so I was really pleased with that. The Great North Run, which was a marathon paced or sort of steady to marathon paced effort. In September, I did 1:44:57, so just breaking 1:45 there, which I was mega pleased with. And then I did a couple of faster ones. So in September, just after the Great North Run, I did the Worcester Half Marathon, and I got in for a big PB there, minute PB of 1:34.55, which is always nice to get a PB on home turf, on home soil. Know the course really well. All my training routes are on that half marathon, so that felt amazing to do that. But 2 weeks later, I went to do the Cardiff half, and I did it in 1:33.17 seconds, and I got a half marathon PB that day of about 1 minute 40 seconds, which I was just astounded with. I was so pleased with that. So coming into 2025, that is my half marathon PB. Then moving on to the marathons. Now, a lot of us only get chance to do not even a handful per year, 2, maybe 3 a year if we're feeling really ambitious. But I did 2. I did one in the spring at Newport and Valencia in December. Now coming into 2024, my PB for the marathon was 3:47. Now if you cast your minds back to 2023, 3:42 was my big aim, and I came up short and got 3:47 in Manchester. So I carried that over to spring 2024 with that in mind, and I got 3:36.31. So I was really pleased with that. And I put some good training in before Newport, and I was really pleased with a lot of the steady runs that I was doing and a lot of marathon pace long runs. And I was just really pleased with the progress to have got a 11-minute PB in Newport. And Newport is a tough old course. It's maybe not the most inspiring of courses, because there is a huge 2-lap section of the course. You go out of Newport, and then there's a massive, there's a massive loop that you have to do twice, which you start to slowly lose your mind on when you go around for the second time. But as I was coming in, I felt good, and it was the first race or the first marathon I've ever done without stopping to walk. So I ran the whole thing, and I was delighted to come in with 3:36. Fast forward then to December, I had the big dream of shooting for a 3:20 marathon in Valencia. And bear in mind, in the summer I moved house, so all my training routes changed, and I was finding myself running on hills, because when I leave this front door, whichever way I go, there are hills, there are country lanes to run. I've got no choice, I've just got to run the hills. And I believe that could have been the big difference for the second half of 2024, is just running those country lanes and running those undulating routes on my training routes. And I managed a 3:21.01, so just narrowly by 2 seconds missing out of that 3:20 target. But that just gives me fire to go again for 2025, and I've got some lofty ambitions for that. Moving on now to some of the fun stuff. The ultras, I didn't get a 50k PB during the year, but in July I went to do the 100k Race to the Stones, the full route, and I did that with Sam, and we had a right giggle in the process of doing it.
Have a guess what Sam's had.
Marmite. For a change.
And he went back for seconds as well.
Oh yeah. I mean,
170 quid.
I'm going back again. Surely you're going to edit this out.
We're losing the plot, yeah, we'll edit this out.
And I did 16 hours, 26 minutes and 19 seconds. And that was hard. Doing 100 kilometers in one go is, nothing short of monstrous. So that was a really, really tough one to do. But a couple of weeks before that, I decided to do a self-supported ultra. Well, I say self-supported. Laura crewed for me along the way, and I ran the whole of the Cotswold Way, which is 102 miles from Chipping, Camden, down south to Bath. And I did it over 3 days, and my splits here was 61k first day, second day 56k, and the third day was 51k. So each time I ran those ultras, I ran, I think, my third fastest ever 50k. So not too bad considering, especially day 2 and 3. I had the days before it in my legs and I was still managing to run faster than the day before it. So really pleased with that. And to this day, I think that may be my proudest ever running achievement. Just the whole the planning that went into it, the actual logistics, the crewing from Laura, the actual running of it, and just the feeling of running a hell of a long way, and the satisfaction of just running from point to point is just a wonderful feeling. So there you go. That's my 2024 wrapped. A little bit late, but it was a wicked year. It's a brilliant year, but I'm not done. I'm not finished. I've got some big targets to try and hit in 2025. I want to try and go sub 40 for the 10k. I want to try and go sub 90 for the half marathon. I want to go sub 19 for the 5k, and the marathon, I'm still undecided where to go, but I'm looking at a 3:05 finish for maybe a sub 3 in 2026. 550k and 100k and 100 mile, who knows? Maybe I'll be crazy enough to try that this year. I don't know, but I have got some ultras that I would like to try and do in the summer this year, but they're still in the planning stage, and I don't know whether or how they will go. So look out for that. Thanks so much for watching this video. Sorry it's taken me so long to get this video done, but I just needed a bit of time just to relax and just to get Valencia, the sub 20, and all of 2024 out of my system. I just needed a bit of downtime as I head towards 2025, and the first big goal is happening in May this year, where I'll be running the Leeds Marathon, one of the hardest UK marathons, which I'm mega excited for. Later on in the year, I've got the Valencia Marathon, again, version 2.0. I've also got the Great North Run, and I'm going to be doing my home race of the Worcester Half Marathon, amongst plenty more other races. So lots coming up on the channel, loads of content coming your way. And I just want to say a massive thank you again. So I will see you guys on the next video. Take it easy wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Ta-da.
It's on!